السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, in the next few episodes, together we will go on a journey of understanding, of reflecting, and inshallah on applying everything that we learn from one of the most beautiful stories delivered to us through the Quran, through the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the story of Prophet Yusuf. Prophet Yusuf's story is the only story that is compiled in one surah, in one space from beginning to end in the Quran. And this also is how it was revealed. We have the story of Prophet Musa. Although Prophet Musa is mentioned over so many times in the Quran, his story is scattered throughout the Quran, even not necessarily in chronological order. Same with Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, and the other prophets, and Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. However, the story of Prophet Yusuf is compiled in one surah for us to learn from, to reflect on, and inshallah to apply in our lives. So I'm really looking forward to the next few episodes together, in which we will really take a deep dive into the surah and think about how it applies to us. We have to realize that these stories that we're mentioning, when they're revealed to us in the Quran, it's not just for us to, use them for bedtime stories, enjoy them being turned into productions, use them to kind of, just make ourselves feel better. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala captures these stories. Specifically, the details that he gives us in these stories in the Quran is for us to learn how we're going to take them into our lives and make them parts of who we are and how we function and how we steer society. And this specifically is the reason why the story of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam was revealed to our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The story of Sayyidina Yusuf was revealed to the Prophet in the Meccan phase when he was in Mecca, about 10 to 11 years after he became a prophet. 10 to 11 years after he started to receive wahi from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it was actually a very, very difficult time in our Prophet Muhammad's life, in his life at that time. SubhanAllah, he had just gone through An al-Husn. He had lost the two most beloved people to him. He had been part of the boycott of the Meccans, had boycotted the believers. They had been boycotted for over 30 years. And due to that situation that they were in, the lack of food, the lack of resources, the two most beloved people to our Prophet, his wife Khadija radiallahu anha, and his uncle Abu Talib, died shortly after the end of that boycott, within a few months of each other, subhanAllah. And so the two that he turned to, the one Khadija, and may Allah have mercy on her soul, the one who was the one thing that he fled to when he had fear, the one that he turned to when he had support, the one that made him feel security when he was overwhelmed, when his responsibility. That was the beloved Khadija. He lost her, subhanAllah, in that difficult year. And shortly thereafter, he was his uncle Abu Talib, the one that he turned to for financial support, the one that protected him from the onslaught and the torment and the torture of the disbelievers in Mecca. And so it was a very difficult year for our Prophet. Shortly thereafter, our Prophet also decides to look for a safe haven for the believers outside of Mecca. And so he takes a trip to Ta'if. Again, that time that he spent in Ta'if was, if not the most difficult time. Many years later, his wife Aisha anha would ask him, what was the most difficult time in your messengership? And he said, it was the moments I spent in Ta'if and how the people of Ta'if dealt with me. And so in that same year, he had gone to Ta'if. He had tried to speak to the people of Ta'if about La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, and they pelted him out and they ran him out of its town, and he was even injured, subhanAllah. And so it was shortly thereafter these experiences of our Prophet that this surah, this story of Sayyidina Yusuf was revealed to him. And so we think about why, subhanAllah, subhanahu wa ta'ala found our Prophet in the most difficult of times. His believers, the people that were following the Prophet ﷺ in Mecca, were looking for a light at the end of the tunnel. They were looking for victory. They were wondering what was to come next. And so our Prophet Muhammad himself was in a very difficult time in his life. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set him this story as a bushra, as glad tidings, as a story to reflect on, for him to learn that those who came before you went through similar tests, if not more difficult tests. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he helped them, he supported them, he tested them over and over. And in the end, he gave them victory. In the end, he gave them uh, dominion and they would be and strength and power over the lands. And so, subhanAllah, it is through the story of Prophet Yusuf that our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam finds this security and finds this glad tidings and finds an ease in the time of difficulty. And so in the next few verses, inshallah, in the next few episodes, as we reflect on the story of Sayyidina Yusuf, we're going to really hone in on some of the major themes, the major recurring messages that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us in the surah. Many, many times, Prophet Yusuf is called Muhsin. So the theme of ihsan, who is a muhsin and what is ihsan? The concept of self-control, to control yourself in times of fitna and difficulty. We're going to talk about hope, having hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala regardless of the situation, never losing hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will talk about patience, sabr. What kind of sabr, samkun jameel is mentioned? What is that patience that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us through the story of Prophet Yusuf? We talk about trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tawakkul. What does it mean to put your full trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after you do your part? And in the end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you the most amazing results. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide you to the most amazing results that you may not have expected. And then we will also talk about attributing things back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, always remembering that who you are, where you come from, what you have become, everything that you have is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are some of the themes that we're going to focus on in the next few episodes. So I'm very excited and looking forward to taking you through this journey with me. Remember, we will use the story as it was used for the Prophet. We will use it to help us realize that there is victory at the end, there is nasr at the end, there is glad tidings, there is goodness for the believers, there is all that is won and from the muhsin when he shows us subhanahu wa ta'ala that he is truly the one who has patience and is committed and has ikhlas and sincerity for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.